it's not just monetary. I always say, like, you don't think about things like reputational damage. Having unclean data can impact the reputation of your business, particularly if some news gets out into public space. What missed opportunities can you not see because you don't have the visibility in your data?
Welcome to What Gets Measured, a Ninja Cat podcast about marketing, performance management, metrics, and effectiveness. Because what gets measured gets managed. I'm your host, Jake Sanders. Susan Walsh is the classification guru, a fixer of dirty data that works between the spreadsheets. Susan has been cleaning, classifying, and normalizing data for over a decade. She's been on the Data Collaboration Alliance, written a book about data hygiene, is constantly sharing wonderful lip sync videos and her sense of humor online, and she's here today to talk about tackling dirty data. Susan, welcome to the show.
Best intro ever. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, it's all true and it's all you. So I'm just giving yourself back to you and the audience, and isn't it great?
I love it.
Well, I wanted to start maybe just by talking about what inspired you to focus on solving dirty data problems, and how did your journey lead to founding the Classification Guru?
Yeah, opening a shop, failing, and then being forced to go into bankruptcy kind of
That'll do it.
I racked up so much debt with the shop and nobody came in and bought anything. So I had to close up and I needed a job desperately. So I found an ad on Gumtree, which is a bit like Craigslist or Craigslist.
Right.
And ended up going to work for a spend analytics company, classifying spend data, like literally categorizing what they bought from different companies.
Right.
And actually found that I really loved it, and ended up spending 5 years there, growing a team of up to 14 people, managing projects.
Nice.
And then we got bought by a big company and it wasn't the same. So I left and I was like, right, I don't come from the procurement space and I don't come from the data space, but I've got a bit of knowledge in both. So I'm not really sure where I can get a job doing the same thing. So I guess for me, it was either go and start at the bottom and learn a new skill or trade, or set up another business.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose to set up another business, the Classification Guru, and here I am 7.5 years later.
It's me. And so it's interesting too. I mean, a lot of people would say, oh, that's boring. Like data stuff, like you're in these spreadsheets and it just sounds like grueling work. It can be massively exciting. I've like, it feels like you're a detective, kind of like going through things. I mean, have you felt that? It seems like you might.
Yeah. And also you get to peek into like behind the curtains of companies to find out what they're buying. Like, we've had things like male escorts as a
and that's the
service.
line item. The line item says that.
Well, no, we had to Google the company name, and then we found then it was like, is this right? And then we found a different company offering the same services, and we were like, nope, this is an actual thing. And then when we've done work with like universities, and they buy everything you can think of, from mortuary services to horse semen. So, and everything in between. So
I would assume there's a husbandry program at that college. I don't know.
You would really hope so, yeah.
So, but yes, it's amazing. You get to kind of see inside the sheets, kind of get some details. But data in marketing is sort of like it's the last sort of like kind of sciencey. Like, I don't know if I need to. Maybe I'll just take a quick look at the data. Make sure it doesn't look too bad,
no.
And so I'm just wondering, maybe people don't even know that their data is dirty, and or people have a misconception about dirty data. And like, what do you think the biggest misconceptions, marketers and businesses have about dirty data, and is it widespread, or just what are your themes and the state of the union?
And we don't just work with procurement organizations now. We've done quite a few projects with specifically marketing companies or marketing departments. I was at DWMC last year in London, which is the Digital Marketing World Forum.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on a panel and I asked everyone in the audience to hands up who has dirty data, and literally nearly everybody did. So everybody knows about it.
Oh.
People don't really necessarily know what to do with it. And in marketing, it can be in a number of different areas. I guess the main one is CRM systems.
Mm-hmm.
They might have multiple different CRM systems, and they need to pull that data together and clean it, deduplicate it. You might have we did a CRM clean for an online retailer, and they had like first name was mum or dad or gran or some
Maybe
swear
that's their
words.
Christian name,
First
Susan.
name, last name was like swear words. So we had to clean out like,
Maybe not.
even Santa Claus was in there. So we had to clean out all the rubbish. And, you might have missing parts of addresses, missing states, missing cities. So we would, enrich that. Again, deduplicate. You might have one person or one email but two names associated with it that are different, so you might want to look into things like that. It can lead down a wormhole. You really do have to be a detective. And then there was an events company who had a really, really old system, and I'm not even kidding, it took like 18 months to get the data from them because they didn't know how to get it out the system, because whoever built it had left, and then they had no idea who their repeat customers were, who their best customers were, what events they went to regularly, how much they were spending. And so we pulled all that together, and they could see, right, they go to this race every year, and they've been a customer for 10 years, and they're spending this much with us. So they had no visibility on that whatsoever.
Wow. Well, and so I just wrote the word analytical amnesia. And I think it's very interesting because we've all, if you're in marketing, you have gotten the old list of contacts. Yes. And it's the legacy list. And sometimes it has good stuff in there. I mean, I've seen in Ninja Cat how legacy things from an older pipeline got taken over, and then those became closed won opportunities, but they had 4, 5, 6 years of a track record with us. So if you had no recognition that you had a history of somebody, you're going to keep talking to them like they're new, but they've been talking to you for 5 years. But here's my question. You said Santa Claus, you said mom, curse word, last name. How do data sets become dirty? Is it maybe fraudulent? Is somebody going into a form fill and filling it up with junk and you got to fill it up? Or is maybe more nefariously somebody putting in fake contacts just to make the pipeline look big? Like, talk about how dirty data comes about.
So it's always at the point of input. Most of the time it's at the point of input. So whoever's inputting, and of course with a retailer, you're at the mercy of the general public who know even less about data than people in your organization. So of course they're going to be like, like, I've been guilty of this. I've addressed things to Dad Walsh, So then that becomes his name. And so that's the name that's in the CRM. And that's what happens. Or people within organizations, if they're inputting new customer records, for example, they might not understand the importance of getting that information right. And from a finance perspective, you might need tax IDs, company registration numbers, that kind of stuff. And 100% fraud happens. In fact, a really good example is where you might have an employee who set up a fake business, set that fake business up on their system and use their personal bank account as the payment bank account. So what some companies do is they run a report to see if there's any personal bank accounts that match employee bank, or business bank accounts that match employee bank accounts, because it could be legit, but there's a good chance that it might not be. And even things like people will raise invoices twice and change the letter O to 0 so that it doesn't get recognized, and there is technology coming along to help with that, but not every company can afford the technology.
And it's starting to knock on a door where we're like, man, if this data wasn't dirty, we could really make a bunch of progress if you really knew what you were looking at. But most people
How much
don't.
time would you save?
Uh, I mean, it would be insane, but
Yeah.
it just seems like it's one of those hidden things that only the people that are frustrated staring at those legacy systems or the CRMs or all of the proliferation of data from platforms on efficiency campaign metrics. It's like all of that stuff is going to need to get cleaned and normalized. So I just mentioned another place where dirty data could come if you're just taking platform specific metrics and then bringing them in raw. Is
Seen
that
that. We've
is that
cleaned
another
that.
problem? Source of dirty data, like for ad agencies?
Yeah, we did an events company and they had like 3 different systems or touch points where people were attending events online. So in system one, person A could have been to events on that one, but they could have also been to events on platform C. And they had no idea that there was any kind of connection between the attendees in those events and things like that. If you're looking at like marketing analytics, we worked with a manufacturer in the UK who sells their products through different retailers in the UK. So they're getting data from Nielsen, Kantar, IRI, Boots, Tesco, Asda. That one product that they sell is named slightly differently in all those systems. So we standardized the name and categorized it all so that they had true visibility across the market of where they were selling the product and how much.
Well, I mean,
It's just,
it's
yeah,
it's amazing, and I mean, I just felt like, oh my god, is this real? I mean, I'm pretty sure
yeah,
when you told them that you could do this, they're like, wait, are you for real? Did they
yeah.
touch
And
you and make sure you weren't a spirit?
but what's happened is the foundational work that we've done means that they've been able to build an AI tool to continue that work,
Wait,
but the thing is you need that knowledge in those people to do that first step.
I know. We'll get to the AI thing because I think you
Yeah.
make the key point that is if your data isn't straight, ducks in a row, whatever AI you about to build on that, it's probably not going to be what you think. Here, I just wanted to get back to this. Like, give me some stories. Like you gave an example of how you cleaned data and led to measurable business success with
Yeah.
that agency. Where you all of the products are named slightly different. We'll make it one thing. Do you have another example of how you've kind of helped clean data like on the ground?
Well,
And
yes.
18 months. I want people to know, how long does it take to do this
Oh, okay.
traditionally?
Our projects tend to last anything from 2 to 10, 12 weeks. And we helped a university actually, and it was taking one of their analysts 12 months to get the information together to do which it was like compliance reporting. We did it for them in 3 months.
Mm, because it's just one
Um,
person versus a
yeah,
team who knows what to
yeah.
do.
And also a client, they had some classified data, but we built a better taxonomy and reclassified it.
Mm.
Their their spend on legal services alone was 40% higher than they thought, and we're talking millions here.
Oh, I mean, so not only could you have your things performing better, but better services from vendors, better communication
Yeah.
with clients. I mean, the benefits just don't stop coming
Yeah. So
if you
how
get it.
many different legal companies or lawyers are they working with? They could reduce that number and get a better hourly rate from the ones that are left, Uh, you, what missed opportunities can you not see because you don't have the visibility in your data?
Oh, and visibility is the thing.
Yeah.
If I could just see. Well, here's one of the main problems. Your data is all messed up. But a lot of people, you mentioned it, AI, automation, it's coming.
Gonna fix everything for me.
Isn't it gonna fix everything for you? But you made a really good case about look, your AI stuff can come and it will do amazing things, but you have to have your data house in order. I'm just wondering where you see the future of data management and classification heading with AI agents, all that stuff. Kind of give us the Susan Walsh debrief.
There are areas where Gen AI particularly is just mind blowing. In fact, I did a post about it just yesterday. I was at the cemetery and there was this really tall tree, and it looked like it had speakers at the top. And so we walked up, went to the grave, came back down the other side. And when I walked by, I was like, no way. It was a cell tower dressed as a tree, disguised as a tree. And I honestly thought that there's no way ChatGPT would know that it was a tower. I thought it's going to know it's a tree. My analyst put it in ChatGPT and it knew it was a cell tower. And that blew my mind because a person had to train it to know that. There's no way that it didn't know that without some kind of input from people and clean training data, because everything learns from training data. Not all of it's clean, but
Right.
if you have cleaning data, the more accurate your tools and your AI is going to be. And honestly, I still to this cannot believe that it got that, because
Yeah.
I barely knew it was a tree, a cell tower. I thought it was a tree.
Well, it's getting to make sense, and some of the stuff we've experienced with the AI agents here at Ninja Cat is first-hand knowledge of the process that you're looking for, the teams, the expertise that goes into it. Then you have to tell me exactly what you want to do, down to the wire. Tell me exactly what you want to do. And then we're going to get some statistical inferences and get some data sets and then start testing it and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, and I think with categorization... Oh, sorry.
No. I'm just saying, like, it does one thing very good, and it's typically a small thing. It can have outsized benefits, but I think the AI agents are like, they're here to do everything. No, they're here to do something that you tell it very specifically and with large intent and expertise to do one small little thing.
You right now.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. And there are different types of AI for different types of data and tasks. And what I was going to say was, particularly with classification, it is so subjective. Like in the spend data world and a bit in marketing too, there's often more than one right answer. You know, it's about keeping it consistent and having everything the same. And context is super important as well.
Now I'm high-fiving you. Well, no, Malcolm Hawker and Scott Taylor, some of our favorite data friends from LinkedIn. I mean, you, Tiankai, and those two. I have found some really cool people in this space. But they said that dirtiness is a total in your head, and they're like, some people can look at what is classified as dirty data and know exactly what's going on. Can you talk about the subjectivity here with dirty data?
Yeah, that's really good. So I'll give you a really good example for business cards. So in procurement, you classify a supplier and a description based on what you are paying for. So whether it's a product or a service. So you are paying a printer to print business cards because you're not buying blank ones. You're buying something that's printed. But if you go to the UNSPSC, which is a globally recognized taxonomy used to categorize the data, there's two options for business cards in there. One sits under paper and one sits under printing services. Now, some people will argue black is white, that it should be under paper. But you're not buying blank business cards. You're buying printed business cards. So it should go under printing services.
Wow.
However, technically, they're not wrong.
It is on paper.
Yeah, it is a business card, but they're thinking more about it as an object rather than a service. So that's always a good one. Another really good one is you might get a list of all the different items on an invoice.
Right.
And so you might go to Dell and you might buy the computer, the keyboard, the monitor, and then it'll say delivery underneath. And that line might be $4 or $5. That will come up in the data. And some people will classify, because they see delivery in the description, they'll classify it as like DHL, a courier.
Oh.
However, you are not paying Dell for a courier service. You're paying Dell for IT equipment. So it would be classified as IT, not courier.
I can't even. I'm just imagining what happens at an ad agency or marketing agency. Like, you have this listed as this, but this does this, and actually this is that.
Yeah, and actually, like point of sale and printing and all that, where does that all sit? You know,
And that is making the case that what could look confusing, or you could take it away, is actually very clean if you knew what you were looking at. Is that sort of the
yeah.
subjectivity of the data?
And again, it's like technically you're not wrong by saying classifying the delivery as a courier, but it's just not the right answer.
Oh gosh, it's so weird. It can be right, but it isn't accurate. People start getting upset about that. So here's my question: if you were talking about multiple different places where people are taking in data, what's your best advice for ensuring data is clean, consistent, and reliable? Like, if I'm taking it from all these, the POS, the CRM, the platforms, like all those things, what do you have, like a piece of advice to help them keep it clean?
Funny you should ask that. Yes, I do.
Interesting.
I have the coat methodology.
Oh,
So I say make sure your data has its coat on,
oh,
like a jacket.
yes.
So first of all, your data's got to be consistent. So whether that is inputting names and addresses in the same format, and that could be deciding whether you want to abbreviate street names or not, or abbreviate states, because sometimes in data you'll see the full state written out, and
Right.
sometimes it's
Yes. Yes. Yes.
abbreviated. So
Mm.
keep it consistent, get everybody doing it and everybody working the same way. If it's classification, decide what the business card classification should be.
Right.
Make sure it's organized, so categorize it, and that could be not necessarily by what you've spent, but by region, by country, by business unit, by department, so that someone says, oh, how much did marketing spend in the budget last month or last year? You can pull it out pretty quickly.
Wow.
Then, of course, it's got to be accurate, but just, define what accurate is within the needs of the data you're working with. So once it's consistent, organized, and accurate, it's trustworthy, and then people can use it and believe in it, and actually, it's reliable. And you have to get people, especially if you've got different systems, you need to have documentation and process to actually have that in place for people to do it all the same way. Because even if you buy in a data lake or swimming pool or swamp or whatever you want to
Put
get
your
in,
data in.
mesh, dishcloths, whatever.
Layer.
If when you pull that data together, if it's not consistent, it's not going to mean anything.
I love that. We all love an acronym. So get your code on. And so if somebody wanted to make a quick win, like right after they listen to this podcast and go into their data and like make a quick win against dirty data, is there something they could do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Get an Excel file of your data, put it in a pivot table. If it's sales or marketing, pull up your customer names and then have a look and see if you've got sort it A to Z, and look and see if you've got multiple versions of the same thing. Look at the sales to see if it makes any sense. If it's categorized, make sure the categorization is right. So, for example, you especially like the higher value stuff. So if you've got Microsoft in your data and it's categorized as cleaning services, you've got a problem. So look for the obvious data that you're really familiar with, and if there's something wrong with that, then you've got a bigger problem.
And so this was my question: the barriers to what you said. It's got to be consistent. I want everybody across whatever the agency, the business, the company. We're doing this. This is how we enter the data. And a lot of data people on data teams are like, how do I get them to do it? How do I get them to do it? Because I mean, I'm in marketing. I've told salespeople, here, I need you to help me. And they're like, you got to kind of help them. Is the barrier to consistency across an organization the fact that people just don't understand data? Or is it the fact that data scientists and teams are failing to market the organizational imperatives behind data?
It's the what's in it for me. Like, most people are like, well, what's the point? So I always suggest do a job swap. You spend half a day with sales and get them to spend half a day with you. And then you'll figure out, actually, you could probably help each other and make things even better.
Oh, have you done that with a client?
No, but I've suggested it many times.
And have they done it?
Not that I've heard of,
Oh,
but
well, they probably wouldn't tell you
you
because
know,
they
when I've
were.
worked in organizations myself, I've always wanted to go and sit with other people and learn what they're doing.
We do something here at Ninja Cat called cross departmental meetings. So
Yeah,
you go and hang out with people you'd never hang out with normally,
yeah,
hear what they're dealing with, and it blew my mind. I had Kudze Chakawada. She works at Publicis, and she was talking about how if you take a data analyst on a ride along with a client,
yeah.
or go and if you're working in advertising, take them to the store, like let them see what's going on, like let them hear what's going on, because that will help them get the data looking better at the beginning. And if you can just do this, it's very cool because
And then
yeah,
it's not just a data set at that point. It's, oh my God, that's a product on a shelf in a store.
and that's a person, or this is a potential, or this is an opportunity, or this could represent, rather than it just being it's another one, it's in C7, I hate C7.
Yeah.
Run a sum. I mean, I am Excel illiterate in a way, and my boss is amazing at it. And I just will watch her do her thing on Excel. It's like, ooh, what are you doing there? Oh, I didn't know you could do that. I like that your answer is get Excel. That's a quick win, kids. Get it. And you're probably in those spreadsheets anyway. Now, here's my question. Couple more. We're talking about ROI. If somebody's like, oh, we're going to clean the data. All right. Well, what's in it for me? What's the return on that? We have cleaner data. Like, have you ever had to prove the ROI of data cleaning?
It's really hard. One thing you can do is track time on how long you're taking to fix things that are not right. You could use examples of where things have gone wrong and it's cost the organization money, but it's very hard to kind of find the ROI on things you've prevented from happening in the first place,
It seems like it's like
oh
a
yeah,
UFO thing.
We've just prevented working with this company that has a really bad ethics reputation, like, because it's not just monetary. I always say, like, you don't think about things like reputational damage. Having unclean data can impact the reputation of your business, particularly if some news gets out into public space,
I mean, I'm over here. There's an Experian story that just dropped. The data broker has been asked multiple times, fix this stuff. It's inaccurate. They have not done that. That's one of the most massive data brokers.
I've been paid to clean some of their data before.
Oh, so they were talking to some of the help that they flew in. You don't think there's a bit of a Downton Abbey going on. Like there's an upstairs and there's a downstairs here in the data world. And somebody has to clean it up, but it is so massively wrong that people are sort of like, wait a minute, what are we doing? The job is, it's not going to happen at the structural level. It's not going to happen at the institutional level. You have to take personal responsibility. Follow these pieces of advice that Susan's doing. Follow her on social media because she's constantly dropping just little gems to inspire you and to get your kind of Hercule Poirot, kind of going.
And not just boring, like, this is how you clean data. Like today, there's a video of like a rail crossing, and it's kind of fun, go and check it out.
She's so brilliant. I'm so happy we got you. If people want to learn more and connect with you online, Susan, how can they do that?
Well, best place, of course, is LinkedIn, Susan Walsh, Classification Guru, but there's the classificationguru.com as well. We've got a YouTube channel, Classification Guru. So, but everything kind of centralizes around LinkedIn. So yeah, it's where all the fun happens.
Cheese or chocolate?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cheese or chocolate?
Cheese.
Pivot tables or dining tables?
Pivots.
Pivots. Because you can control them.
I can't cook for shit, so.
Neither can I. Apples or oranges?
Apples.
Okay. All right.
But it has to be a pink lady.
Oh, very specific. Yes. I mean, yeah. I don't know if AI is to blame, but there are more apple flavors than I've ever seen.
That's like the UNSPSC, the taxonomy. Instead of just apple as an option, it has like all these different variants. It's crazy.
Oh, really? And I'm going to ask, and I'm going to provide a link to that that taxonomy thing. That sounds
Yeah.
fascinating. Okay, continuing on. Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Yeah. Walk in the rain or walk in the wind?
Oh, I want to say rain, actually.
You would rather do rain.
I grew up on a coastal town with the North Sea wind, and it can like sting your face like nothing on earth. So
You're done with that.
yeah,
And finally, and maybe most contentiously, John or Paul?
neither.
We did not expect that. Oh, I should have looked at the data. What?
Don't you
Neither
know
you
I'm like
say?
a huge
Okay, well-
Robbie Williams fan? It's just always Robbie Williams. That's the only answer to that. Any question.
No one could have seen this coming. Robbie Williams coming in at the end to finish it. What? So I'm not going to ask Coldplay or Radiohead. Are you?
Oh, Radiohead.
Okay, so we saved it. Susan landed the plane, y'all.
What Gets Measured is a Ninja Cat podcast. Please rate and review the show wherever you find your podcasts. Share this episode on social and visit us on the web at ninjacat.io.